McCree, Deadshot, Leon from Resident Evil. Welcome to the stage. We have Marisha Ray, who is Oboro and Effie from Fire Emblem, and Margaret from Persona 4. Taliesin Jaffe, Fire Emblem as Messina, and Barry Allen in Injustice 2. And then we have Jonny Cruz, who is our favorite DJ from Overwatch. And then we have Tatasciore, who is Soldier 76, and Vane and Swamp Thing from Injustice 2. We're going to start without him.
As those other folks arrive, as they arrive, we'll bring them on as they have.
Yeah.
But until then, you get to enjoy us in our post-Saturday partying, Sunday morning, torn voice. Yeah, recovery. Good morning.
Yeah, a quick announcement for all of us to begin. Unfortunately, everybody here on this panel cannot stay for autograph signings or pictures because they have a flight to catch. So please, please, please respect that. And I really hope you enjoy the rest of the panel. So let's just dive right in.
Let's do it.
So let's see. One of the things that I run into a lot when I'm talking to new voice actors is they have this problem called imposter syndrome. You know what that is? Have any of you experienced it, and what advice do you have for folks?
Every day.
And it's not exclusive to voice actors. I think all artists experience imposter syndrome. I kind of mentioned this the other day. Like one of these days, you wake up and you realize that you're just making stuff up for a living, and that's you're like, I don't build anything. I don't make anything. What do I do?
It's Neil Gaiman, the creator of Sandman, actually used to say every time he would get up on a panel, he expects every time he gets on up to one of these tables in front of a crowd, he expects to sit down and someone to come up and go like, no, there's been a terrible mistake. You're supposed to be a carpenter. Excuse me, come on.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's like I always imagine they have a clipboard for some reason. To me, I don't know why they have a clipboard. Yeah.
It's a very common thing in creative fields, and on one hand, it can be very anxiety-inducing.
Mm-hmm.
On the other, it's also an unintentional tool for humility.
Yeah.
You know, when you constantly feel like I have to try harder because I don't belong here, keeps you from being like, I don't have to try hard because I belong here. You know, I prefer the former's right.
Definitely. So, what advice do you have for somebody who's like constantly facing that? Like, how do they overcome it?
I think you just realize that, you don't. You just realize that everyone else experiences it too.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Like for every person out there that suffers any sort of anxiety or self-doubt, which is all of us, let's be honest here, that's the key. All of us experience that. Every person out there that you're afraid is judging you, they are suffering their own set of insecurities that they keep either very well hidden or very overt. And
the few people in my life I've met who I genuinely don't think have that, who have no imposter syndrome, really should have it. They usually have not earned that confidence and self-assuredness. It's usually like that, if anything, is possibly holding them back from actually being what they think they are. So I mistrust confident people.
Okay, so another question. Have any of the roles you've played in video games ever changed you? Can you talk about it?
For me, because I came into this field from a fan standpoint. Like I grew up a heavy gamer, consumer of cartoons, anime, the whole deal. And so when I had the opportunity to take over the mantle of Leon Kennedy for Resident Evil, that's a character that I already was so invested in, and loved him both in his previous iterations in the games, and I loved his persona. I loved the idea of that character and what he represented. And I felt a lot of similarities and kinship with him personally. So it was a huge honor, and kind of that was the first character that I both did. I was like, oh,
this is a lot of responsibility.
It's one thing to like be the initiator of a role, but to take on an already established character that has a lot of fan interest and favoritism. It's daunting. It's very daunting. So I maybe really make sure that I put as much effort as I could into it to do my best to honor what already existed, but also make part of it my own. And that to me was a big switch in my career to realizing the importance of getting it right.
What about the other two?
I don't know what to add to that. I'm really having that moment. What he said.
Yeah.
I've been acting my entire life, and so I won't say that there's something particular to voiceover that has that effect. But anytime you're acting, there are parts that are just kind of in and out. You go and you do the work, you know what they expect. But there are things where, especially if you're expected to become very uncomfortable, that sticks with you. Like anything that brings you out of your comfort zone, you're going to remember that, and that's going to affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Each little character kind of.
Oh, it's like we got some more people
So good to be here. I don't have any. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Sorry.
So Jonny, since you just came in, I want to pick on you a little bit.
Do it.
So I found out something very interesting that you're a guitar player for a big band group called Power.
No, it's not a big band at all.
Oh,
No, it's musical improv.
It's
Is what I do.
musical
Yeah,
improv.
in Los Angeles, and we have shows every month.
Okay.
I'll come out to Los Angeles at my West Side Friday nights, 4 Fridays a month. Come on out to see me.
Okay.
you have on the west side.
Yeah.
As somebody who plays music, I'm curious what your favorite video game soundtrack is.
Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Yeah, man. I still tear up when I play.
And Fred, since you just came in, I'm curious. Soldier 76 has a really paternal quality to his character.
Yes.
And I'm wondering where does that inspiration for being a daddy come from?
Because I am your daddy. I've always felt like a daddy. I don't know why. Just always felt protective of my friends and my family, and this is just one of those things where I get to play something near and dear to my heart, you know? Yeah.
All right. I'm curious, since all of you have your different games that you're not only playing, but you're also acting in, what tropes in games would you like to see less of?
Do I need to say it?
What tropes would you like?
I mean, it would be nice to get away from this whole, like, you get the big tough guy, you get the nerdy guy, you get the technical smarts guy, demolitions guy, and then female. And then the female. Can we just start? It's getting better.
Yeah.
It is getting so much better. Blizzard kills it with that. They do an amazing job, always have. As I always like to say, female is not a personality trait. And yeah. Those people. Yeah. Where, you know what I'm saying, Johnny.
You're the best panel hype man ever.
Oh, yeah.
Any others from the rest of you?
I agree with that.
I actually like in a similar vein, like somewhere from comic books. I feel like we've mined the Northern European fantasy genre to death by now. Every now and then, I'm just sort of wondering what science fiction is being written in India. I bet it's really cool, and I bet it'd make a great video game. I just picked one out of thin air. I would love to see. I want to see a more international gaming community, and I know like there was that game that was the Eskimo game, but was just nuts. Do you remember that one? What was it? With the fox. I know you were the one who showed
Somebody
me.
shout.
Ever alone.
Never alone.
Yes.
Like I want more. I wanted the Epcot center of video games. I want to play video games from like every corner of the world. Like
And that one was awesome because it had a little mini documentary in it that you unlocked as you went.
So cool.
Like that was such a cool idea. For
But like I remember when like anime was like great because it was like, where is this coming from? What is this? And I feel like we've got like there's so much more of that we could be sampling.
Sure.
Other than these elves have longer ears. I love elves. I love long ears. But,
Sword of black and tears.
yeah. So yeah, that's my trope.
All right. So what advice do you have for new actors who find themselves working in something really problematic, but they're too scared to say anything for fear of like losing that opportunity?
like
problematic.
uncomfortable.
Like not even uncomfortable, just something wrong.
It happens less often than it's.
Wrong, like in terms of like the subject matter is
Yes.
bad.
Like one of the first jobs I ever had, I
Yeah.
had to create a gang-related game.
Gang related?
Yeah, like it was supposed to be Monopoly for gangs.
Oh.
Like gang members, and their whole idea was to go through from the game to a rap star, and it was playing on some really problematic.
So
Weird question about that actually.
Roll down, man. I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody else.
I get made.
I dropped out of it, and I said bye, and no, it didn't.
I tend to find that ideas that bad tend to drown under their own weight.
Yes, that's true.
It really,
Give them enough rope.
there's a little bit of natural selection involved where you can watch things like that just implode on it. Not always, but so often, and that you can kind of just gently back away and watch it as it like slowly tries to consume itself, drowning in a river.
I will say the only game that took the gangs to rap star trope well would be Def Jam Vendetta by New York, the original Xbox. Mainly because it actually brought in like Redman and Snoop Dogg, and you got to have them all fight in bar brawls. And you get trained at the gym by Henry Rollins. How could that game not be the best game ever?
I forgot about that. It's a great game.
It had no right.
There's been many times I've been in situations where I was in something I was like, man, this sucks. Like this movie or this thing is gonna suck. But I think through it you learn so much just being there, right? You learn about yourself, and I learned on a couple different projects that I need to speak up for myself. You know, I need to speak up and be like, no, I'm not going to play that. No, I'm not going to say that. And if I lose the opportunity, you're going to waste a bunch of money finding somebody else. You know, and so for me, it's really speaking up and doing it in the most tactful way. You know, using tact. But yeah, that's for me. I think it's important to speak up for yourself. And no matter if losing the opportunity, there will be more. There will always be another opportunity, and just don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And now I realize what you're saying. It is okay to speak up. There are times where I've done something where they're not even sure. Like we did one game where it was just the misogyny was just a little too far on the violence. Like it was just a little, and you just go. You don't have to say I'm not doing it right. Just go. Wow. Okay. So we're saying, and I'm not going to repeat it, but we're going to do this, and sometimes the writers and the producers are there going, yeah, that's right, that's a bit, that might be over the top. Or even in horror movies, I wasn't ashamed to do it, but there was one time where I worked on this movie, it was so horrifying. I had to go like, this is effed up. And the director was so great, he's like, I know. Like it scared him, It was like, yeah, we're killing kids and stuff. They play a lot of monsters, So sometimes it's like you say, tactful. It's okay to bring it up and go, and they'll rethink it a lot of the time.
Well, and you got to keep in mind, I think, kind of like as you were talking about, these producers and directors, they also have a million other things going on with these projects. Sometimes they're just maybe not even thinking about it, so it's not a big deal to just be like, hey, can we maybe like,
I don't know if I want to say that.
I don't want to say that. Make an alt line.
Yeah, workshop.
Yeah.
Take an early
Why
break.
there's nothing
we'll
wrong
talk
with it,
about
then why do I not want to say it?
Yeah,
If there's
just-
nothing wrong with it.
Right.
I'm pretty
You'd be
sure.
surprised. People will listen. Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, moving on to more technical stuff. So getting an agent seems to be a really large wall for a lot of new voice actors. What advice do you have for people coming into voice acting, and especially about finding an agent, and when is an agent necessary?
Bribery. No.
terrible answer.
That's a rough one. That is the toughest thing.
It's hard because there's no real guidebook. There are good books that can help guide you, but there's no one real solution. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. I mean, none of us know how we got here. We all tripped up to the top.
Yeah.
Tripped onto the stage, literally. First and foremost, if you want to be a voice actor, you have to take acting classes. Just acting classes. We implore you to do that because having funny voices or just being able to change your voice or do a lot of stuff, it doesn't mean anything if you can't act the lines and evoke it. And you have to really be able to do that considering a lot of times you're cold reading with acting or with voice acting. And you have to get that emotion and whatever you're trying to evoke without anybody seeing your face.
Yeah. To set the scene for you, imagine you book a gig. You show up to a studio, you meet two producers, a writer, a director, an audio engineer, all within a 2-minute span and say, hi, good to meet you. All right, great. Here's your script. Go in there. You walk into a large, quiet room filled with sound padding where you're by yourself with a single music stand, a microphone that the engineer adjusts for you. Then behind a glass window, you see all of these people staring at you and they go, all right, line 1, go. And you have to be able to just dive in and give the best you possibly can. And you can only do that through experience and from learning the tools to quickly cold read off of a script you've never seen before. Because a lot of the projects, you don't get the script in advance. You have to do it right there in the booth as you see it for the first time.
And no picture.
And no picture. So these acting classes, this training in cold reading, scene study, character study, just voice and speech, all these things eventually culminate in the booth. So you want to make sure that you're as prepared and as competitive as possible when you do make that leap. Otherwise, when you do have that one opportunity to shine and you aren't prepared for it, you're gonna clam up.
Yeah, another note on the acting and all the classes is that through the classes you meet so many people, right? You meet all these people that say, oh, I'm with this agency, and oh yeah, they're pretty good. And you're like, oh yeah, actually I'm gonna meet with my agent on Saturday. You wanna come? Like all that community, they help each other. The information you get, ask everybody, talk to everybody in these classes, and you get good quality information. Because a lot of times you're like, well, who's good, what's not? But through this, you get other people's experiences. You find out who's good, who's not, and you could be like, oh, well, can I get a recommendation? And a lot of friends will be like, yeah, no problem. So going through the process, I think don't shy away from it. Go to the classes, meet people, grow your network, because these are people who are going to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, acting class is great. Sometimes you can even get a little recording of yourself doing some voices, and that's nice to be able to send it. Sometimes you can't just blindly send it to them, but like to agencies to hear you. There's a lot of avenues too. People are now looking at the YouTubes, I believe now. that little thing. No, and a lot of times, you know, some agents are really looking for new stuff. It is definitely the firewall, the hard wall to get through. But it's there's no one way to do it. But just getting, like you say, just get on as many gigs as you can and auditions, and then get those classes. And yes, the acting. If you had told me, and I'll ask you guys, 20 how many years ago, if you said like all the classical acting that you ever did on stage, if you told me we were going to be doing this in video games, I would have laughed. It's the most classical, like because I grew up, you know, a long time ago in the Civil War or whatever, you know. We were playing Pac-Man, and I'm thinking classical acting. Like I wrote this thing, brave Pac-Man, come hither. Hear my tale and heed my warning. You must eat the floating fruit that flies by, and devour the blue ghost before the first of their eyes return to the center of the labyrinth. Hence, turning into colorful trolls that will in turn devour you. Make haste, brave Pac-Man. But be brave. You may leave the labyrinth at one side and enter like the prodigal son upon the other. I appreciate this. No, but it is amazing how much stuff, I can't believe how much serious acting we do in video games. It's hilarious.
And you can now look forward to Fred Tatasciore as a new Pac-Man in 2018.
Go on, Pac-Man!
So I'm
have
just
on the
curious,
power color.
for all of you on the panel here, how many of you actually play Overwatch?
Back.
You're familiar with the character?
Yeah.
I want to play a little game. So we are going to take a character from Overwatch who's the opposite gender of you, and we are going to voice them as though they were the same gender as you.
Okay.
Interesting.
Who wants to go first?
Then good thing there wasn't one late drinking and talking a lot.
All right.
Okay.
Challenge. Go.
What are we doing? What?
Gender bending character and voice them. From Overwatch.
Do I pick?
You can pick anybody.
I gotta think about this.
So,
I hear you have a fondness for Diva.
so I would have to do it as myself or Lucio?
Or whoever you want to. What would she sound like in your voice?
Oh man. Unique New York, unique New York.
Yeah.
Nerf this!
I got one. Are you ready? Go for it. Okay.
What's the fun of playing fair? They are very fun.
We're trying to frantically look up.
I'm like,
focus
quote,
now.
quote.
I had loot boxes to open before coming to this con. I went through a lot of stuff. There's some skins that I really need, and I'm burning 4 days at a con. For you. Yeah.
I think one of the big ones.
Tick tock, I'll just leave this here.
I'm more of a justice reigns from above. And I say this as a partial Faramay. My favorite character, so very stalwart, stoic, and eager to bring down those who destroy the innocent.
That's the This is kind of what he would say.
Keep calm and tracer on.
Wonderful, that is amazing. So we are going to open up the floor to questions. There is a quick note. I need all of you to know that we have to get out of here quick. So there is one question, no stories, and make it short. And while you guys think and set up, I would like to ask all of you, Matt Mercer's already answered this, but who are your favorite characters to play on Overwatch?
Junkrat.
Do you ever mess with people when you're actually on voice chat?
I haven't yet, but I'm planning
I mean, I kind of had to learn McCree. And I'm pretty good with them, but other than that,
You're really good with
it's
them.
Mercy and Farrah.
Symmetra's my girl. Through and through. I also like
Short range.
Watch out, Mercer.
I'm that guy who picks last and pays and like the bills and whatever's missing. Any support class pretty much across the board, and then if that's taken care of, either Farrah or Diva are kind of my two big. I'm like, that's just fun.
Tracer's great, but I always like to say I like to play the monkey.
Wonderful. Okay, let's get started with audience questions.
All right, so I've got a few questions. First one is from Matt.
one. Pick the best one.
Okay, so ask the most important one.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I've hit that roadblock with the agency. I went to a workshop last year. I very much enjoyed that. I'd like to do more, though I'm not sure how often. And however, my question is about demo reels. I created a reel last year, both a character and a commercial reel, and It got me a bit of success, though I hit some weird situation with an agent. I'm updating it now. What kind of things would be optimal to have? Like, do you want something that's challenging for you? Do you want to put yourself out there, or like, what would you request?
I would recommend for any demo, you want to start with your natural voice. Because largely that's what you're going to be cast as, and that's what you're trying to sell, whether it be commercial, character-wise. You want to start with what's your most comfortable space and the most natural performance you're going to be giving. Then the longer that goes on, you have the opportunity to expand a bit and do more character work, dialect work, things that you're particularly strong as. And I recommend, if you are doing any dialect work on your demo, make sure you have studied and are unmistakable for that, because casting directors can pick up a fair accent in the moment that you show up with like a, I like governor. They're gonna be like, no, not that guy. You know, so really stick to the things that you're really confident with and use those to propel the interest of casting directors.
Yeah, go with your strongest stuff.
Shorter is always better.
Yeah.
Shorter is always better.
Yeah, they're not gonna get through it all. So
30 seconds tops.
30 seconds. Most of the time on average, when a casting director or an agent is listening to your reel, it can be 5 minutes, they're gonna get through 30 seconds about the average time.
If they like you.
If they like you. So keep in mind, and a lot of times they'll click it off after that first 10 seconds if they're like, meh.
Yeah.
So,
Strongest stuff first.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Got your attention.
Hi guys. Well, I wasn't asked Matt to say something as SBO, but I can't. So, Brad, I heard that you're voicing Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Yeah.
Wait,
So-
are you?
What?
I'm sure you're behind the voice actors. I thought you were.
Oh.
No? Well, what voice would you like to hear?
I was gonna ask, how did you get into the Crash Bandicoot games?
That, I'm trying to think. What's that?
That would have been a while ago.
That was a long time ago. Auditions. No one ever asked before. I just usually audition for stuff, and sometimes I get lucky to get in. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. Long time ago, though, right?
Well, Crash Bandicoot, they're making a reboot of it.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the reboot I'm talking about.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah.
Some people will say we're casting things all the time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not necessarily true.
No, but generally speaking, most of us, I don't know about it, sometimes about half the time, but like we're pretty much audition for everything usually. To answer your question, we'll get stuff sent to us at the agencies or wherever, and then we just record either at home or at the agencies. And there's usually 100 people coming in, trying to
5 or
audition.
6 times a day.
It's
It's
trying to
throwing
audition for
spaghetti at the
everything.
wall.
Yeah.
We're just trying to just shotgun it and see what sticks.
We're just trying to be sticky noodles.
Yeah.
All I can say is thank you, SBO the Chameleon.
I was gonna freak out though if you were.
I know.
That's
That's news to me. No, I was not even. Thank you very much. I hope I am. No.
Thank you for the question.
But thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, SBO.
I appreciate that. Take care, son.
Alright, this is more directed towards the Overwatch voice actors, but it's sort of like a half thank you and a half question. You guys did amazing jobs. I was telling Fred this at the signing. You guys did fantastic jobs bringing the character to life. I've never played a character that I could relate to more. They were just so real. They felt like so real yet so intangible that they could warp into whatever you wanted it to be. So, how do you think Overwatch achieved this next level character development with these characters that I've never seen before? That's so close.
Yeah, that's great.
I think for me, I loved doing characters growing up. But I think Lucio for me was really one of the first times that I was so close to myself in a way, kind of the sound, just kind of how I am. If you ever see me amped up in the street, you'll probably hear a little bit of Lucio popping out. And so I think for me to allow that to be and that to be okay and not to put anything on it, and my voice and everything I was and my excitement was enough, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's just it for me, was allowing myself to be fully myself and sincere in the lines, the way in which I would say it.
Boom. I think it lends a lot to
like the writing team that worked on it were very careful to make sure they constructed very unique personalities that were grounded in multiple cultural backgrounds, that were relevant with, you know, modern day gamer culture, and were unique in their own way. So a lot of, before we even came into the booth, so much of it was the development team creating this amazing repertoire of characters. And then when they brought us in, it was a collaboration to give them life. It wasn't like, all right, read it, here's your script, go. You know, we sat with them, we discussed the character personalities, we discussed the timbre of the voice, and even as we did more with them and they fleshed out more of the story and we learned more, we felt like it was this kind of collaborative creation of each of these individual characters. So it's one of those magical projects, like you said, we're just blending in a bottle the right minds, the right creative people together, and we were all very lucky to be just a small part of that process.
I'm not a young man anymore. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, they came up with this great concept, and I guess for me specifically, they were really terrific about just saying, this is not far from your own voice. Come in and we want to just try you for this character. And then I was able to kind of pitch around different ideas, but the character was pretty straight up for me. Soldier 76 really spoke to me on a very basic level. So it's just one of those things where I just had to kind of call on him, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Just want to say, I love you, Mercer. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
So actors need a lot of different things when we're auditioning for various things. One of those that we need a lot of is demo reels, actually different ones for different genres. I know I've got a narrative, animation, and gaming demo reel. For you guys, what's something different that you put in your video game demo reel that doesn't go in an animation or a narration reel?
Attack and damage.
Yeah, attack and damage. Yeah, seriously. A lot of soldier stuff, a lot of shouting. It's great.
Don't worry, these natives are friendly.
Yeah, that comes out big, and you'd actually be surprised how many like voice actors from animation can't do
that
damage and grunts and even you like you got like yeah, we all play video games like lifting things that even like those little ones you gotta practice those.
I had done prototype 2, and they were like, okay, now an alien's ripping your head off, and your spine is coming out. Listen what that sounds like, and you're like,
yeah.
So work on those sounds,
Like a fire.
I had a Grand Theft Auto like, okay, we're gonna need about 28 seconds of on fire.
That's the worst one.
Okay. 28. So you'll wave your hands when I'm done. What? Oh yeah.
I had a similar one in Metal Gear because they always want you to like. You start like you're on fire, and then it gets worse. So same thing's like 30 seconds. It's like, and you're like, who is this dumb person? Stop,
drop, roll.
This is how I die.
oh my god.
So at some point you run over to like a bottle of like a Mad Dog, and it's like, no, put it out. No.
Where's my ex-body spray?
Best DLC ever.
Bad fireman.
Good question.
Can I fire with fire? Question for you. Most of the people in Critical are in Injustice. So if you had to have a DLC character who was put in the game later, who would you like to voice?
Stephanie Brown.
Yeah.
Fat girl.
Yeah.
Woo! I'm personally invested in that. I would shake someone for that. Just throw that out there. You didn't hear that. No, that doesn't mean this right.
Anybody from Netherlands Studios who possibly here, she doesn't mean that.
I don't mean that.
There's so many things you don't like, she doesn't.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I love the way you done your hair, Taylor Vincent.
If I do this, actually, here's my favorite. Kind of like Super Saiyan.
I wanted to say, Matt, I heard that you're friends with the Gangrels.
Yes.
Good
question.
What kind of stuff would you like to do with them?
Oh, that's question sounds incriminating. Danny, Aaron, Susie, all like we've known them for a number of years, and they're.
We'd love to just get a game night with them.
I
That's
know.
been hard to schedule.
Yeah, we've all been very busy, and whenever we get there, it's like we don't have time. But yes.
Oh, I see what you guys are going for. Okay.
I mean, if they were to ask us, we'd be happy to go on. But you know, they have a lot of guests lined up as well, and they're busy. And if the stars align sometime, that'd be a lot of fun.
They are written on my whiteboard in the office.
That's true.
Because I really want to get those guys in for something.
Yeah, I saw
I'm
them
gonna
on
drag them
whiteboards.
in.
Oh,
Yeah,
No,
so
there's,
now I'm
there
gonna
are
drag them in for something.
20% of viewership.
And once again, you know, because there's always that expectation of like some people on the internet, they have a persona, and then the real person isn't as cool as the persona. The Game Grumps guys are legitimately as cool and as nice as you imagine. So like, they're good people.
Thank you.
Right, first off, I want to thank you all for coming and joining us here at Momocon. And my question is, like, a lot of times when we're acting, you get cases of like, where actors like Johnny Depp just does stuff, or Robert Williams can go on for like a page. Are there any instances where you all have gotten a chance to just feel like, just do things and then we'll see what sticks, or is that mostly just stuff relegated to like blooper reels or like the behind the scenes stuff?
Games are pretty formal.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, but like the problem with games is there's so many people involved and there's so much investment in very technical, down to the point where sometimes there's a line where like, that was a great take, that was wonderful, but we needed it to be 4.8 seconds within a tenth of a second, and that one went 5.2.
And it's got to hook up with this other line that's
And
way over there.
That you don't have in your script, but we assure you it didn't hook up, and you're like, oh my, yeah. There's a lot going on in games, so you don't get quite as much play.
Freedom.
Yeah, I think it depends on how far in the production cycle it is. Like if it's an early on motion capture game, it tends to be a little more flexible because you're in that early stage of the story still kind of being fleshed out, and that's a little more collaborative. But a lot of games we record so late in the cycle that a lot of things are locked in stone, and there isn't a lot of wiggle room for us to be that, you know, involved in improvising or coming up with stuff on the spot.
Honestly, that's why Critical Role has been such a great outlet for
Yeah.
us. Like, in improv games, yeah. And,
The
yeah,
improv.
you know.
Yeah.
You kind of have to find that elsewhere.
I have a couple of improv lines in Overwatch that were just on the fly.
Yeah.
That was, and I felt really happy about that.
They'll
I wrote
allow
that.
that.
Reinhardt's catchphrase?
Catchphrase!
It wasn't in the script, he just said that.
That's what I love about them. They'll allow us to play sometimes. So.
Yeah, as long as you do everything that was written, you will have some wiggle room to do some of the made up stuff, and they'll put it in sometimes, an Easter egg or something really.
What was one you made up?
But let me get the right beatbox. Chillin', so much chillin', chillin'.
Represent. It's also creatures. Sometimes you get a little leeway. Monsters, you get to have a lot of like. If you do sound effects or creatures, you get some leeway in there. And what's another improv-y thing? Sometimes you get they give you some wiggle room in. Sometimes in the cinematics, you get to do stuff. Not so much. Yeah, but mostly creatures and effect. Yeah, and then like vocalizations for like vomiting and stuff.
Creative with your vomiting.
You can be creative with your vomiting.
Get a little water minerals in there.
Yeah. No, really.
Do it.
Okay. Oh my. Oh.
Hey.
Has there ever been a character that you guys have played that you genuinely felt uncomfortable playing? And if so, what do you do in that situation?
There's good uncomfortable and bad uncomfortable, I suppose would be the first answer. Sometimes it's the uncomfortable of like, this feels awkward and weird and I'm not enjoying it, but I can feel it being like a good piece of acting, and it's a good piece of acting because I'm feeling uncomfortable and weird. It happens every now and then.
And it kind of touches on what you were saying the other day, though, where unfortunately, as our jobs as actors, it's kind of our jobs to deal with it. Like, that's what we do. Every once in a while, you get something, like you said, crazy, but then that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, where you just kind of have to speak up.
Yeah, you power through. You know, a lot of times it's just bearing down and just thinking about the character and just doing that job.
Yeah.
You know, it might be uncomfortable. You can put yourself, compartmentalize yourself a little bit, put that over there, and then just do it. But is that what you mean by uncomfortable? Like it was an icky character, or it just hurts to do vocally?
I was thinking like kind of like a villain that you really don't want.
Right.
Oh,
Villains in general tend to be pretty fun, though.
There's a difference between being uncomfortable and being morally opposed to.
Yeah.
You know, if it goes against your philosophies and something that you're generally like, I don't feel comfortable projecting this type of a character through myself, then yeah, you speak up or you just don't read for that.
Yeah, you wouldn't audition, probably.
I was brought in for a character, and I was like, oh, great, I didn't even have to audition, what is it? I'm so excited. And then I went in, and it was, you know, for a stereotypical kind of drug lord type thing, and I was kind of like, oh, man, like, I didn't want to do it. You know, and as I sat there watching the cinematic, I was like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And then I went into the booth and I did it. And then I was like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And so from then on, I was just like, never again. And that was it. So.
Yeah, and sometimes you're giving voice to a demon too, that like a racist or somebody you're opposed to, but you're thinking, no, I'm going to bring this out and show how horrible it is too. You know, that's the other side of it.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of it is, you know, bad guys are bad guys for a reason.
Sometimes
they're protagonists.
Sometimes you voice the Nazi because the hero's got to have something to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be target practice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. I will make that satisfying as hell. I will die in blood.
It's not so Nazi, but it's fun. Yes. Yes.
Hey, baby. Have any of you ever just gone through a day voicing one of your iconic characters, just like in everyday situations, like getting coffee, grabbing
Please just order curly fries from the Jack in the Box guy, like a regular person. He's so tired at 3 a.m.
What is wrong? I am a normal, regular person. I would like curly fry and perhaps also a large Oreo cookie shake.
I'm sorry, sir, what was that? I didn't remember.
Large Oreo cookie shake. I come to the front window and show you personally.
Can you, it's always, every time you do an insane accent, they're like,
I'm 16. What are you saying, sir?
I'm lactose intolerant. No cheese.
I don't know a single voiceover actor who doesn't like mess with the drive-thru.
Kind of all do.
Because you have the power, why not abuse it?
It's a moment to get comfortable doing something.
Yeah. He said, yes, it's a fillet of fish and side order fries.
I would like a cheap. Extra, like, what kind of bullets? And a dragon blood. That's soy sauce. That's soy sauce.
If you guys ever do that, would you be willing to just record it and upload it?
If we haven't heard.
Thank you.
Come true.
You all mentioned that you have had to do live action actor training and stuff. So how do you get into character for a character that's a voiceover only? There's no costume, there's no props, there's nothing like that.
There it is. Posture's a big. Posture's that changes the tone of your voice.
I wear different shoes depending on what type of character I play. I'm serious! It's a good tactic. If I'm going in for a soldier, I'll make sure I wear like pants and boots. And if I'm going in for a more like a feminine, maybe a seductress type character, I'll bring heels. Because it makes you stand differently and it makes you hold yourself differently.
Yeah.
You all know how you feel hot when you put on your best pair of shoes.
Come on, guys!
You do! You put on some heels and you're like, that feels like good. A lot of these have been working.
Right up there. I look great.
How do you keep those characters separate? Because again,
separate shoes.
You have to bring your own. Where do you keep those characters separate in your head?
It's
don't got different costumes.
Practice.
It's like a mask. It's like spiritually. It's gonna sound so silly. You inhabit the characters. So it's like especially if it's one that you've used a lot. Like I know when I'm putting on Hulk, it's like there's the Hulk world in my head, and you really enter into the character. Or Soldier 76, I'm completely in that mode. And not only, you guys, it's in your voice. Like there's a place in your voice. Like singers have placements, in their voice. There's that, but it's a spiritual kind of alignment too, as to like what the timing, the pace, the physicality. Some characters are standing, some are sitting, some are wearing high heel shoes. Like
Hands behind the back sometimes.
Yeah, hand behind the back, whatever. Yeah. And you start to, you actually remember them. You do. They're in there. It's like a multiple personality disorder. With control.
It really is, yeah. That you monetize somehow.
Yeah,
you monetize. I just finished playing Persona 5, which I loved. And there are some lines that are fully voiced, and there are other lines where you mostly read it, but the character kind of, gives it, you hear like a, what? And, yeah, exactly. And the thing is that I noticed that the same kind of short line would be used in many different situations. Like you can say what because somebody just told a bad joke, or because you're really shocked at something. And when you act, you need to, have it be so specific in your head, but then you have these lines that are used in so many different contexts. And is that difficult to do, or how do you,
It's certainly its own set chording, but that's also the context that we rely on the producers, the writers, and the director for. They'll tell us this what line is supposed to infer confusion and being caught off guard, whereas this what you're going to record is more of a shocked, threatened what. And so we have to get that context from the director, and we usually give a few different reads for them to choose from. So if they're like, this is more of a confused one, you can go, what? 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 I feel like it's intense. I'm like, what? 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 They're all different variations.
There'll be more takes of a single line than anything else in the script. That's the one that you
And let me tell you, saying one word over and over again starts to just not make sense.
It's hilarious. Coast of London.
Coast of London, yep.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
If you haven't yet, YouTube Toast of London, which is a British show with Matt Berry, where he plays a guy who's doing voiceover in a booth, and it's a delightful voiceover humor.
We got to know.
You have to put your button.
But, however, I will say the best part about games that do that is when they come out, they'll usually have on YouTube like character line sets, and they'll just run them all back to back. So they're like, so-and-so's dialogue, and you get like dialogue lines for about 10 minutes, and all of a sudden it goes like, for like 40 seconds, and it's the weirdest thing to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a question and a statement. I was wondering how long it took you to feel cemented or that you were named in voice acting. And the statement is from me and my fiance to Matt and your fiance. We gave a letter to a staff member and asked him to give it to you. Did you get it?
We did, actually.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like that.
So,
what was the question?
How long did it take you to feel cemented that you were named, that you were, had made it in the voice acting community, that you had, not that you would like your superstar, but that, people would know who you
I'm still waiting. I mean, I think it's an ongoing process of, for me, this is a huge step for me in voice acting, which was never actually my focus. I was an on-camera guy. That was me. Like, you get me on camera, look at me. But I fell into voiceover, and that just kind of kept happening. And just each job after each job, I think you always feel a little bit more confident. But it's always like, oh, am I gonna get another one? Does anybody like me? And so it's that constant, like, it's always just constant. So.
No, that's a valid point. It's no matter how cemented you may feel in the career at the moment, you have to keep in mind that all of it can go away. This job you just finished might be your last. And not only does that help to keep you humble, but it keeps you hungry and makes sure that you're constantly improving as well. So yeah, I mean, like many of us reach certain jobs, like Overwatch was huge. Even like my first cartoon when I did Thundercats years ago, like that was to me just a big step. Thank you. But also,
Yes.
But also, yes, Tigra. But even then, like that got canceled after season 1, and it went away. And I didn't work in animation for a while. You never really know. So even if you feel in the moment it's a big thing, you have to keep in mind that it's all temporary.
Yeah, there's no finish line. There's no moment where we're like, well, it's good. I'm good now. It's all just clear coasting from here.
It's an ongoing kind of a career. It's really your art form. It's like playing an instrument, let's say you're playing saxophone, like, oh, I got on this album, or okay, we're done now. Maybe I'm backing this guy for a while. Oh, now I'm going to do a solo thing. Now, it's kind of like that. You never know. The jobs come and go, but you just feel like, as Matt said, you just constantly try to improve and try to never stop learning. I'm learning every day, really. I don't think I'm improving.
Hey, heads up, you guys, we have literally 4 minutes until these guys have to go, so lightning round, go.
We're not going to worry about that.
I have a question for you guys. If you had to nerf one Overwatch character, what would it be?
Nerf each one?
No, if you could choose one character.
Choose one character to nerf.
Which one would it be?
Bashing seems to be funny.
How we go?
Symmetra.
It's never to get her like viable again.
That's Lucio made a choice.
I'd say maybe McCree.
Savage.
That ult is nasty.
That ult's about all I have.
I'm pretty happy with it, but I mean,
I am
like,
too. I have to think about that.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I'd say Symmetra to be mean, but
Yeah.
I think they should stop calling it a short range ray. I think that's bad advertising. That thing's got reach, man. That's not short range.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Next question. Quick.
This one's for Jonny. Can we get a boop?
Hello, so I'm getting kind of interested in voice acting and stuff like that. So I just have a question, like, what can I do to kind of give myself notice and kind of get out there and, stuff like that? Like, what's a good starting point? And, yeah.
Classes, theater, improv.
Make your own content, always.
Yep, make your own stuff.
Throw stuff
Turn
out
on a
there.
camera. We all have amazing HD cameras on our phones now.
Yeah.
Just
4K.
film stuff. It's crazy.
4K.
You gotta put yourself out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, hi. I'm one of those weird fangirls who know everything about the character and I've listened to all your voice lines and I'm trying to shake each. Anyway, this question is for Jonny. When did you truly like the ship Diva X Lucio?
Say that again? The what?
The ship Diva X Lucio. When did you truly like that?
Guys, me in my life, I'm a non-committal. And so when people used to ask me who you ship, I used to say everybody in a big old pile. And so now as I'm getting older and just finding the one, it's something that I'm looking for. And so I don't know. I think it's cute. I think it's cute. I don't know.
Thank you.
Facebook. I don't know.
I don't know, Chef. Just chill.
Yeah, just chill.
Thank you.
We have 1 minute.
Hello, I am a voice actor and a singer, and I've been in the booth a couple times, and something a lot of voice actors don't go over is how devastating it can be to your voice. So I was wondering if you had any tips or exercises or products you use to help maintain the integrity of your voice box.
Hulk juice.
Hulk juice?
You did this.
You did this. You're talking about the stuff that helps you. It's called, it's a honey loquat mixture. It's called Neem Jom Pepakoa. And it's also Entertainer's Secret is very good and Singer's Saving Grace. And slippery, it's basically honey loquat, slippery elm is really good as a tea to help you, there's a lot of good stuff out there, but it's called Neem, N-I-M-J-I-O-M, look it up. It's very good.
Comes in a big pink box.
And it's just really helps you get your
Find
voice
it on
back.
Amazon.
And also, take a lot of rest. Drink a lot of water and take rest if you can, if your voice
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we need to give these folks a big Momocon. Anything like that, so they have to run. Thank you so much for being here at Momocon. We hope you enjoyed it, guys.
Bye. Have a